Catholic Church against amendment to Constitution. Milne Bay police call for extension of police operations. And one political party announced competition for logo and slogan.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayre.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. The Catholic Church says it's unnecessary to make changes to the Constitution declaring PNG as a Christian country when it already is. The government launched a nationwide inquiry to get people's views before the law is brought forward to Parliament. Think tank National Research Institute says PNG isn't a Christian nation until changes are made in law.
The Catholic Church has been silent on the matter until today. The Church states its intention when government is pushing for changes to the Freedom of Religion clause of the Constitution and putting Christianity down as the primary religion of the nation.
Through this submission, the Catholic Bishops' Conference intends to respectfully manifest that, all considered, we do not deem it necessary to introduce amendments to the current Papua New Guinea Constitution.
I think the big question that PNG is asking and should ask, and definitely we in the Catholic Church ask is, do we really have to change or amend the Constitution to achieve PNG becoming a Christian country? Do we have to really touch the Constitution?
The NRI in a research paper says PNG isn't a Christian nation until it's embedded in the Constitution. The Church says it's already captured in the Constitution.
We always know that we are a Christian nation, and that our preamble to our Constitution expresses it clearly. There are two things that we have adopted until this time and that has been understood. First is our Christian beliefs and so on. But of course, in line with the Christian, the cultural values that we have.
However, Associate Professor Eugene Ezebilo from the NRI says otherwise.
A lot of people in PNG say that they are Christians, and then 7%. But to make it official, then we need to. It's important to make it official by inserting it in the Constitution.
The government estimates suggest the Catholic faith has the biggest Christian following of 27%, followed by the others. The church leaders highlight one missing key part to the puzzle.
If there was a proper way of approaching this by inviting churches and so on, I think that there would be a better understanding into this. So I would like to say that the Constitution is not a matter for people just to think and say that they want to change it. It must be a matter for change by the people. Or if there is a strong change to be able to change something, then there must be a referendum into this. I think this should be a way of approaching it, because once we tamper about with our Constitution, we lose track of everything. And new things are coming in without any connection to what we have in the past.
The government has committed 2 million kina for the consultation process and another 3 million kina for the Unity Pillar Monument, which will be built at the Peace Park in Port Moresby. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
The housing scheme for the Karukuhiri electorate has assisted a local church to be built. This saw the purchase of chainsaw equipment valued at 9,000 kina, with locals providing labour. Recently, Karukuhiri MP Peter Isoaimo joined the congregation of Alaimana Sacred Heart United Church in the Nara area to open the newly built church. The MP said the housing scheme policy has assisted locals put up their homes, whilst various schools in the electorate also benefited from the policy. The event coincided with the ordination of Reverend Madaha Pangia and Sina Pangia, both local pastor and minister of the church. Local police authorities in Milne Bay say the rise in criminal activities is not an overnight issue. Milne Bay Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Peter Baki says police officers have been killed since 2013. PPC Baki has made a few recommendations which he handed over to Police Commissioner David Manning, who visited Alutau yesterday.
It's almost a month after criminal elements in Alatau attacked a police barracks and torched government assets down, leaving 2 dead and families displaced. Police reinforcements were called into the province to assist local police. Following the government-sanctioned operation, the police commissioner was in Alatau yesterday for a brief.
Milne Bay is very much high on our priority list amongst other provinces to see how best we can, not only build capacity in the short term, but also, discuss a way forward in terms of investing in infrastructure.
According to the Milne Bay Provincial Police Commander, it was a cat-and-mouse game between the police and criminal elements. Superintendent Peter Bucky says criminal elements have nurtured over the years with arrests and escapes going on.
We did not eliminate the leaders at the time or have them arrested. We did, but they actually escaped from prison. And they are now out on the run, and they managed to influence young people to follow them. And now 2 years later, in 2021, it has reached a point where it is now a security threat. A security threat because there is now direct threat and direct attack on government facilities and government agencies.
The police commissioner says the 60 days operation will be reviewed as the force remains committed to address the security concern in the province. Manning says recommendations by local police will be presented to the National Executive Council. He also brushed aside allegations of forced evictions.
This is whilst an initiative taken on advice by the PPC. It is what it is. It is a voluntary repatriation exercise that's been conducted, and if it requires us to either reinforce the current efforts on the ground or scale back and be a bit more strategic or surgical in what we do going forward. We will leave that up to the DC Ops as well as his Director SSD and the PPC to make that assessment for the Executive to consider.
Jacklo Power Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the police commissioner says options have been identified to assist the affected families of police officers in Alatau. Commissioner Manning says it is unfortunate, but the constabulary has financially stepped in to assist. The 13 affected families are temporarily housed with local communities, also assisting with humanitarian needs.
We've made commitments to supporting them in terms of alleviating their financial situation. As you can appreciate, they lost all their belongings in that when that barracks was burnt. So we remain committed to ensuring that we support them every step of the way to recovery. As far as the police operations concerned here, I'm confident and with the level of engagement with the communities as well as the provincial administration and of course leaders from the ward level all the way up to the national level.
The leader of People's First Party and Yanguru South MP Richard Maru has announced a logo and slogan competition for the party. This initiative is part of the party's rebranding and reorganizing towards making PFP a strong national institution. The competition is open to school-aged children under 18 years of age.
The logo and slogan competition is now open and will go on for a period of 4 weeks, and it is open to all school-aged children under the age of 18. In this competition, participants are to briefly explain what the logo and slogan stand for and why they think their logo should be accepted. This initiative is part of the party's rebranding towards making the party a strong national institution.
The party needs a new logo that is recognizable, that will show what we stand for, a logo that talks about the past, the present, and of course the future. So today we are announcing that we are launching a competition right across the country.
The People's First Party has been in existence for over 20 years. With no parliamentary leader, the party has remained dormant for over 10 years. And with Maru being appointed as the party's parliamentary leader, they are now working on establishing a strong national institution. The party leader says PFP will be rebuilt on concrete political ideologies, values and policy platforms that focus on the people as the number one priority. And it is fitting for young future leaders to have their say on what they think the party's logo and slogan should be.
We are people's first. What should our slogan be? We're going to leave it to our young people of this country to propose slogans that they best feel represents our party, and the fact that we carry the aspirations of our people, we carry their dreams, we carry their hopes. So what should our slogan be?
First and foremost, everything that we do, all our policies will be tailored towards the interest of the people. They must be first in everything that we do.
People who wish to participate in the logo and slogan competition can submit their papers through postal and email addresses provided. They can also submit a PDF copy through WhatsApp or People's First Party Facebook page. The winner of the logo competition will walk away with 1,500 kina cash and 500 kina cash for the winner of the slogan competition.
They have to submit it in the submission. They must submit the logo and why they've chosen this particular logo. And how does it relate to People First and what we stand for?
Rayon Lakingu, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The advancement of technology in the car manufacturing industry globally has been targeted not only on comfort and ease, but also vehicles designed in ways to reduce road accidents and increase safety for motorists. Boroko Motors launched the new Proton X70 Series today in Port Moresby, specifically designed for driver and passenger safety in hazardous situations.
Road accidents in Port Moresby City and along Magi and Hiritano highways have been frequent over the years, with many innocent lives lost. This has provided huge challenges for road traffic authorities, car manufacturers and dealers, and other relevant stakeholders. And so vehicle choice and maintenance upkeep has become of paramount importance in the modern era for individuals and businesses. Boroko Motors in Port Moresby is providing some of the latest available options for vehicles in terms of vehicle and motorist safety. And today's launching of the Proton X70 Series is an example of such.
It's a special day for us in that we would like to launch our Proton X70 SUV for the first time in Port Moresby. The X70 is the best value SUV in PNG at the moment.
Manufactured in Malaysia, the Proton X70 is a byproduct of a completely new production line that has a pantheon of purposeful technologies that duly improves its practicality and fuel economy. The unique features include embedded eSIM cards, 360-degree cameras, advanced driver assistance system where electronically inbuilt functions can be enabled just by the driver speaking words to ensure the driver does not let go of the steering wheel but focus on their driving.
Comes with an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Also has voice command. So if you ask the vehicle to turn the aircon on, just by giving a voice command, the aircon comes on. If you ask the vehicle to wind the windows down, all you have to do is ask it. If you ask the vehicle to call your friend or your boss, as long as you've uploaded all that on the system, it will do it for you without you even taking your hands off the steering wheel.
The vehicle also has features such as electronic brake distribution, electronic stability control, hill descent control, and emergency stop signal to aid drivers and passengers in hazardous circumstances. Earning a 5-star rating, dealer principal Boy Daira says the Proton X70 has a special launch pricing of 124,000 kina. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
PNG through New Sky Pacific Limited hosted the Civil Air Navigation Services Organization Asia Pacific Conference for the first time yesterday. This is to discuss challenges faced by the aviation industry during this COVID-19 pandemic.
And as a result, our stakeholders are able to carry cargo.
The event was hosted in person and was live-streamed for an international audience online and via Zoom for its member participants. This is the first time PNG through the New Sky Pacific Limited hosted the Civil Air Navigation Services Organization Asia Pacific Conference as a hybrid event. The conference allowed for discussions on key topics related to the challenges faced by the aviation industry as it recovers and rebuilds from the COVID-19 pandemic. It also featured a workshop on cybersecurity and a session on air traffic management's innovation and emerging technologies. Minister for Civil Aviation Seki Agisa was accompanied by a small Manus dancing group up to deliver his opening address for the event.
I have no doubt that some of these issues will be discussed over the 2 days in this conference. These challenges provide us opportunity to create and innovate to better our systems so that we are able to mitigate and navigate through the challenges.
CANSO is the global voice of air traffic management worldwide, and its members support 90% of the world air traffic. The conference attracts senior air traffic management delegates from the region and beyond annually, and PNG participates as an active member.
PNG plays a bit of big brother role in any other things in the Pacific, in South Pacific. So I think PNG is given that opportunity to host it.
Gertrude Gabi, National EMTV News.
It has been 2 years since the WASH program's Clean Plug Community Project was launched in the Goroka District, Eastern Highlands Province, with a target of 200 communities being recipients of this water and sanitation project. More communities will be declared open defecation-free communities today, bringing the total to 131. Work in schools and health centres under this project is expected to be completed by the end of this month.
This is one of the 100-plus communities in the Goroka district that have been certified and declared as open defecation-free communities. Work in these communities began in 2019, with NGOs training them to practice health, hygiene and proper sanitation under the Clean Pillar Community Project. So far, more than 116 communities have been certified out of the 200 community target.
Hopefully at the end of this month we'll have the healthcare facilities completed, and also the 8 schools are in progress. Will be also completed.
The government's Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Policy 2018 to 2030 was launched to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 6, access to clean water and sanitation. Goroka was one of the 4 districts in the country chosen to take part in the pilot project, the rollout of the WASH program through the Clean Pillar Community Project. Local NGOs touching the Untouchables, 80 Projects and the Anis Foundation have been working with Oxfam International to carry out the project with support from the Goroka District Authority as well.
Time only come inside, migla lukim das la program and by got impact dan the community. That's why the government I partner one time das la development partners na come inside.
We are certifying these villages as per the government policies and the standards that we are working towards. And then we are launching these villages, these schools, these health facilities.
As the project nears the end of its implementation, the District Development Authority will take over to sustain the project in the communities. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News.
Basic Education Inspector in the Goroka District, Charlie Kawavina, says there has been an evident improvement in student enrollment and attendance, especially for girls. He said this is due to the WASH program rolled out in the Goroka District, which 50 schools have been a part of. Not only have the hygiene and sanitation practices had an impact on their health, it has also had a positive impact on academic performance as well.
50 schools in the Goroka district have been participants in the WASH program's Clean Pella Community Project. So far, 40 schools have had their toilets built and have met other requirements in the project. Basic Education School Inspector in the district, Charlie Kawavina, said one of the impacts of the project is the higher number of student enrollments.
In the past, we are making a comparison from the past and to this day after when all these programs comes in. And because there is a consistency in students, especially the female.
The ablutions in the schools have been built by local NGO 80 projects. The designs include the standard toilets for boys and girls and also a facility for students with special needs. With menstrual hygiene being one of the key areas addressed, a shower for female students and an incinerator to burn used sanitary pads have also been included.
So this will stop them from having to run away from schools, which we see in most cases, or hence leading to missing out on lessons, important lessons. So it keeps the girls in school.
That is one thing that we are seeing a greater, impact and the change that is really making a difference in our female students.
School teachers say the hygiene and sanitation practices being taught to students is having an impact on their health as well as the academic performances. Mr. Kawavina said with improved attendance, more students are sitting for their tests and exams compared to past years. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News.
And now looking at the NAS Fund market reports, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3546 Australian dollars, $0.2196 euro, and 29.67 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower. Coffee, cocoa and copra closed lower. Palm oil closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 164.62 points lower. The ASX 200 is trading at 82.5 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 80 points higher. National MTV News continues with more stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Kumura Foundation, a local community-based organization, has assisted locals in remote Bundi in Medang province bordering Sembu province. Kumura Foundation has cleared up the road from Snow Pass in Upper Bundi to Aug in North Sembu. Vincent Kumura, the director of Kumura Foundation, said the fine sand road to Upper Bundi along the Mondia range was destroyed by recent heavy rains, causing deep trenches. The area has experienced multiple landslides, causing slippery road conditions and making it difficult for the travelling public. Vincent Kumura said it was risky and unsafe for them to transport sick patients and pregnant mothers to Bundi Health Centre. Therefore, they had to clear up the road under their community service obligation. The foundation expressed gratitude to the Wildlife Conservation Society in Goroka for supporting them with 2 fuel drums to do their work. A group of timber landowner representatives from Jiwaka province who are plaintiffs in a long-standing court process have been claiming benefit payments through court proceedings based on their ancestral roots dating back to PNG's colonial era. Speaking to MTV News yesterday, they aim to clear the air and provide some level of comfort for landowner groups back in
While as our claim was pending. The state made a payment in 2012, which prompted us to take the matter to court, which myself, in collaboration with the former member for Jimmy, Francis Kunai, who is the first plaintiff in this proceeding. While as giving the judgment, we have not come to the media, especially MTV. There are one or two other people who come and mislead the media by putting the reports, which now we are trying to brush aside, those speculations. Any media information that goes around must come through the consent of our leading plaintiffs, because we have initiated the court proceedings. So
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Member for Mosby South, Justin Tichenko, officially launched the Mosby South Rugby Football League 2021 season yesterday at the Mosby South Stadium in Port Moresby. The competition is set to kick off this weekend under strict COVID-19 protocols.
The Mosby South Rugby Football League is set to start their season pretty soon, with their launch yesterday at their new stadium, the Mosby South Stadium. There to officially launch the competition was local member for Mosby South, Justin Tichenko. The men's A-grade division was present at the launching with a total of 15 men's teams set for the 2021 season, which will also feature a women's competition. Chairman of Mosby South Rugby Football League, Brown Murema, says that the competition has gradually improved over the past 8 years.
And we also have a 10 women's team. They're doing extremely well. Mosby South Rugby League so far, for the last 8 years, we achieved a lot of success story. We continue to produce elite players on the intercity level, and also the Hunters and the Kumul. And we will continue to produce the result as we continue to run the competition here in Mosby South at the new state-of-the-art facility.
With COVID-19 protocols in place for sporting competitions, the Mosby South Rugby League have to comply as well, with venue manager Bagelo Solyang stating that the competition will commence without any crowds present.
We've got strict protocols that we expect all clubs to follow. So in order to ensure that our competition keeps running, we'll have to stick with them. That's starting off this week, you'll only be allowed 17 players and 4 officials to come in. So you come in, you warm up, you play, and you straight exit, the next team comes in again. That's going to continue until such time when the Sports Foundation ease off on the restrictions for spectators and stuff like that.
Member Justin Tichenko, who has spearheaded the growth of the league, says rugby league and other sporting competitions has truly brought Mosby South together.
We all come together in the name of sport to go out there and have a competition that brings everyone together in Mosby South under the banner of Rugby League. I don't see this happening in Northeast. I don't see this happening in Northwest. I don't see this happening anywhere in our country. I think we're the only ones that are really organized and making it happen.
Justin Tichenko has the cup named after him and is responsible for securing funding for the Mosby South Stadium, and says there is more to be done.
Rugby League is a great sport. It brings our communities together, it brings our families together, it brings the whole electorate together. And for me as your member, it's a no-brainer to sponsor and continually making sure that this sport continues to move forward.
Felice Sukina, Trukai Sports.
The Gemo Soccer Tournament, which started on Monday, is approaching finals this weekend. Today marked the conclusion of all-round games with 16 teams set to participate for the finals.
With a registration fee of 200 kina per team, a Gemo Soccer Tournament has attracted more than 30 teams to participate. Tournament coordinator Sele Rua says the tournament held is purposely to raise funds for an upcoming church council meeting, which will be held at Gemu Village.
We actually invited a total of 35 teams from men. They all came from different villages, from Vigo Inland, Coast, and Bigul Bay side. We are happy to see the crowd here because the purpose of the tournament is to host the second council meeting that will be held in July 20 to 24.
The overwhelming number of participants has seen a division of teams into 8 pools with 5 teams each. Pool A and B games are played at host venue Gemu Village, while the other pool games are played at Kamali and Makerupu. With the conclusion of round games today, only top 2 teams from each pool will qualify for the finals over the weekend.
The finals of the tournament will be on Saturday or Friday, depending on the number of games played throughout the week.
Apart from soccer, the village has also organized a netball competition for women. Suli, Trukai Sports.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather report after these messages.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast in the southern region. Rain showers, then cloudy weather in Port Moresby. Showers in Daru, cloudy with some rain showers later in Kerema. Cloudy with a few showers in Alotau and cloudy with rain showers later in Popondita. In the Mamase region, cloudy with a few showers in Lei Wewak and partly cloudy weather in Medang, cloudy periods in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with a few showers in Lorengau, Kavieng and Buka, partly cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy periods in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with some showers in Mount Hagen, then showers and morning fog in Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for this Thursday, 20th of May 2021. On behalf of the news team, thank you for joining us. Pleasant viewing. Good night.